Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi,
Yes, sir, we
Simon.
hear you.
Yes, I
Good
can
morning,
hear
sir.
you.
Opo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask
Good
everyone
morning.
Yes, sir,
to
good morning po.
please
Yes,
place
good
yourself
morning.
on mute
Morning.
as we begin our program, our opening program for this conference. So we are already 73 out of 90 here in our Google Meet room. Others are watching in YouTube and in Facebook. We are also live in both platforms. So it's now 10:01. We will begin now our program. So the opening program has our prayer and the Philippine National Anthem. So I would like to ask everyone to please dispose yourself properly. Thank you.
Oh,
Sikoy ko kamighimu tolangit. Sikoy ko kamighimu taal daw ay bulan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شامل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دباو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you. When we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Manama, mabantog ka. Warpo ko iling ko'y ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka. Busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko. Busa ikaw lang ang alagaran ko.
Our output must lead to better policies and better practice in the individual professions that we find ourselves in. That's the most important goal of research.
slide mo.
Okay. So for the welcome remarks, or to welcome us all to this conference, I would like to call on Dr. Winston John Romero Castro, the Senior Technical Advisor for the Office of the President and the President and CEO of the Training Center.
Okay. Hello, good morning. So it's quite nice seeing each other again, although virtually, despite all the pandemic that's happening all around us. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone for taking the time to participate, to present the research, and for those others for taking the time out to just listen and gain insights on how to do the research and probably present the research in a different forum or in this particular forum at some later date in the future. Now, the pandemic has really disrupted all of us, but despite the disruption brought about by the pandemic, we still need to pursue what we need to pursue. We need to continue with our lives, and as academicians, as researchers, we need to continue doing research, primarily because research is the lifeblood of progress and development. Without research, there would be no economic and there would be no societal development that would happen. So I would like to commend all the researchers who have persevered despite the pandemic to continue with the research and take this opportunity to present and ensure that these research are reviewed, are presented before a body of their peers. Now, what is the goal of IIRC? The goal of the International Integrated Research Conference on for every year in and year out basis is quite simple, really. To ensure that we provide an avenue for research presentation. At the same time, after research are presented, that the top caliber research among those that have been presented at the conference would be reviewed by a body of their peers. And upon review of their peers, this particular research that have been determined to be top-notch caliber would then be edited, would then be subjected to critical review by other members of their profession. So that at the end of the day, this top caliber research would be published in an academic journal that is peer-reviewed likewise. So this is the second iteration of the International Integrated Research Conference. Last year, we found ourselves at the Ateneo. Supposedly this year, before the pandemic hit us, we were intending to conduct the program at the Philippine Normal University. But despite the challenge brought about by the pandemic, we opted to continue in as much as a number of you have research that are of top-notch quality that we needed to provide an avenue for them so that eventually this research will be published in our academic journals. Now, why is it important that research are presented and reviewed? Simply put, it's quite important in as much as we would like this research to be read, evaluated by other experts, to be read and evaluated by other researchers. Now, that is our authentic goal. That is our essential goal. That is the goal of IIRC. At the end of the day, no later in December, all this research that will be deemed to be top 20 will be published in an academic journal. Then this academic journal will be presented to other academic institutions for them to see, for them to read, and for them to learn from this research. So on that note, I welcome all of you, researchers and presenters and other participants. Likewise, I commend all of you. Thank you for taking this opportunity to join us, and I hope the pandemic eases sometime in the next few months so we can go back to our normal lives. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Casio. Okay, so I'm back. Hello, everyone. So allow me to walk you through the entire conference or the program of the entire conference. You will actually see I have sent it to you yesterday via the primer, but allow me to walk you through it again. So I will share my screen here, and you will see the primer. May I please remind everyone to place or your microphone on mute if you are not presenting or if you are not the one speaking. Okay, so for day one, which is today, so we are currently on our opening program. We're done already with the welcome message by Dr. Casio, and we will have the opening remarks for Dr. Garnace in a while. And also, we will be, where is that? We will be having our first plenary session by Dr. Ray Garnace. So for days 2, 3, 4, and 5, you would notice that in the morning, mostly our plenary talks or plenary speeches or presentations. And in the afternoon, we have the research presentation. So for all the presenters, please take note of your classification or to which track your research is being classified so that you would know when you are scheduled to present. Also note that the links for each day is different. It's different in the AM session for plenary. It's different for the afternoon session. So I would like to us all to take note of that. And on the last day, we will be having, or that's on October 25, we'll be having the awarding ceremony. So as we all know, this research conference is publishing 3 journals. So apart from the book of abstracts, we are publishing the Kahusayan Journal for Integrated Research. We also have the Philippine Journal of Action Research, and we also have the Philippine Criminology Journal. So top 45 papers would go to Kahusayan Journal, so we'll be awarding that for top 45 papers. We also have an award for top 20 papers in criminal justice, so that they will be published in the Criminology Journal, and top 20 papers for the action research presentations. They are under the pedagogies and practices. They will be also published. The top 20 papers will be published in the Philippine Journal of Action Research. So for each breakout session or for each track, we also will be selecting 3 best presenters, first, second, and third. So let's not forget to always give it our best shot so that we can bag the award for best presenter. Also, we have around 5 poster presentations for the conference. Those will be judged separately. We also have the best poster award, first, second, and third. And then we also have the MAPERE Research Excellence Award. That's first, second, and third. And then those are all the awards. So basically, for house rules, I would like to remind always, no, everyone is reminded that when you are not speaking or you are not asking a question, you're not acknowledged, please put your microphones in mute because it could distract our speaker, it could distract our co-participants as well. Also, if you have questions during the plenary sessions, we will be asking, there is a specific time allotted for that. So you can just type the question in the chat box, or you can raise your hand if you want to do it orally so that you can be acknowledged and pinned to the home screen of Google Meet. So that would be all. Now let me call on Dr. Reynaldo Garnace to officially open this year's conference. Sir Ray? Sir Ray? Dr. Garnace?
Hi.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. I'll be presenting my video first. My PowerPoint.
Okay.
Where is that? Simon.
Yes, sir. Would you want me to present your?
Yes, please. I cannot see the PowerPoint in my when I click present now. All right. Let me start. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought of, according to Georgie. A pleasant day to our plenary speakers, our panelists, guests, organizing committee, and most especially to our dear participants and presenters, our researchers. Looking at the videos earlier, it was a bit nostalgic because we were really there present at the venue. So I would like to ask, who among you here were present during our integrated international research in 2019? You can go to the chat box and say present or yes, you were there in the activity. All right, so I see some familiar faces. So Iris said yes, she was there. Mary Angel Gavina, what about the others? Okay, so maybe keep coming. So just type in the chat box if you have messages. So welcome, we have 90 participants at this time. So From the participants last time, whose papers were published in our journals? Huh? You can also type in the chat box, say mine, and then maybe I'd like to ask you a question. Did you benefit from the IIRC 2019? Say yes if you have, if you earned a promotion, or if you earned points from the publication, or from the certificate that you have gained from the training. All right, Simon, please, full view of the PowerPoint. Okay, and if you notice, last time our plenary speakers mostly were coming from the Philippines, although we had few participants coming from abroad. But at this time, many of our plenary speakers come from all over the world. All right. So again, a pleasant day to all of you. In one of the sessions I attended, Goy said, something that always bothered me is that it's easy to go to a school and hear the voices of students who are more affluent or less shy, or teachers who are from unions, or students who have a strong position against or in favor of something. But there are a lot of students who are shy, who are more invisible, who do not like to talk, who do not have ways of reaching others. And Goyce also said that coverage should center education. We should not ever lose focus on the pedagogical issues, such as what will be the strategies that the systems will make to recover learning process losses. And this is what we call autonomy of learning. Let me share a portion of the research of Fernando Reimers, who is the Ford Foundation Professor of the Practice in International Education and Director of the Global Education Innovation Initiative and of the International Education Policy Program at Harvard University. He is interested in advancing understanding of the ways schools can empower students to participate civically and economically and to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. His current research focuses on educational innovation and on the impact of education policy, leadership, and teacher professional development and education that supports the holistic development of children and youth. The pandemic that is ravaging the globe is likely to cause the most serious disruption to educational opportunity in at least a century. The studies and lives of those currently in school will be impacted in multiple ways, some yet to be understood. School systems and governments will attempt to establish alternative modalities of education during the period of necessary social distancing, but those will most likely work well for children whose parents have more education, who have other social advantages, and who have access to resources, including online connectivity and devices, so they can continue to enjoy structured opportunities to learn. But for many children lacking those conditions, the period of physical distancing is likely to result in very limited opportunities to learn. This is true and happening in the Philippines, right? And I know that you have a lot of stories to share about this. In addition, the pandemic will differentially impact children from different households in ways more detrimental to the poor and otherwise marginalized. No doubt for some children, the disruption caused by the pandemic will be a time of experimentation, of greater autonomy for their own learning, of more self-direction, of experiencing productive collaborations between their teachers, guiding them through the power of online education, and their parents. But those won't be the majority of the world's children. They won't even be the majority of the children in the most affluent societies. And take note, parents now become teachers. True? It is really happening. As a parent myself, I experienced that. For the vast majority of children who lose opportunities to learn because of the pandemic, It will be hard to recover from those losses. The longer the period of physical isolation from other students and teachers. The educational disadvantage such losses generate will beget more educational and eventually economic and social disadvantage. Because these losses will be experienced by large segments of the population, societies will suffer as their productivity is diminished. This is a grim picture of how the COVID-19 pandemic will shape the education landscape and the future for the next decades to come. As with the health impact of the pandemic, the educational impact will be mediated by how humans respond, by the actions or omissions of students, parents, teachers, and the school and system level leaders in anticipation during this pandemic. Some responses are more likely to mitigate the educational impact. Other responses will augment the negative impact of the pandemic. The worst response from educators would be to ignore the educational significance of the pandemic, to pretend that this is not an educational issue, that it be short-lived, or that the consequences on education will be minimal. This response is the one most likely to cause severe disruptions to education for most children and the greatest disparities in educational opportunity. To animate and guide the process of thoughtful education responses, Slitcher and Reimers have written a report titled A Framework to Guide an Education Response to the COVID-19 Pandemic of 2020. Based on rapid assessment of education needs and emerging responses in 99 countries surveyed, the report identifies the most salient needs that should be addressed in these responses, as well as the areas likely to face more implementation challenges. It also examines the education responses of various countries to the crisis. Based on the analysis of data from the most recent administration of the PISA survey, where Philippines landed last or second from the last, the report also describes the challenges facing various education systems to depend on online education as an alternative modality. And there is no turning back. And I'm pretty sure this is another great challenge to our country, right? The best thing we can do now is to initiate events like this. Encourage researchers to engage in studies relevant to the time and the needs of the learners. Continue to discover and explore pedagogies to promote autonomy of learning among our students. Our hope is to be provocative and to cause teachers and education leaders at various levels of government, in public and private sectors, to recognize severity of the educational risk represented by the pandemic, and to take responsibility to lead a process that is effective and equitable as possible in tackling this adaptive challenge. One thing is certain about adaptive challenges. They cannot be solved in the same way as problems can be solved in a world that is predictable and stable, when technical solutions exist for the problems at hand. Adaptive problems require rapid learning, innovation, and risk-taking. They call for a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, for a commitment to pitch in, for the capacity to collaborate, and above all, for clear thinking about what is truly important. What is truly important at this time of crisis, we have the urgent is to save an entire generation of students from the most significant risk educational opportunity has experienced in their lives and in their lives with their parents and grandparents. This is really a time to stand up for and with the children. So based on the study of Cruzman in the previous slide shown, motivation for learning has changed during the pandemic. But now, students feel about the switch to online learning. And what can you do to keep their motivation going? Learner survey finds that although students are less motivated than before the pandemic, Most of them feel that their motivation has only dropped by a little. They appreciate being able to study when they want to and having access to a wide range of resources from the internet. This ties in with the theory of motivating effects of a sense of autonomy, making choices about their own learning and relevance, the perceived usefulness of what they study, right? Students like activities that give them instant feedback and tasks, since this allows them to serve their results and progress more clearly than they were able previously. So this aligns with our inbuilt need to feel competent of what we're doing, or at least that we're getting somewhere. Yes, YouTube and Zoom or Google Meet are the most commonly used online tools and the most helpful ones for learners. Unlike YouTube, Zoom is content-free. It is purely a digital platform that allows learners and teachers to meet and interact online. The fact that learners rate Zoom so highly supports the idea that connection with others is helpful for staying motivated. So if you feel your students' motivation levels are dropping when learning remotely, what should you do? Using insights from motivation theory, as well as the very good and practical advice from our very participants, from the participants of that survey conducted, here are 3 top tips for keeping up motivation during online learning. Number 1 is, yes, you can. Supporting learners' self-efficacy facilitates a sense of satisfaction and progress and feeds the desire to go on. Create plenty of opportunities for success at just the right level so that students can experience mastering a challenge. Help your students to feel good about their learning by setting incremental and achievable goals. Adapt exercises to suit your learners. Often this may involve breaking down tasks into smaller steps and giving highly detailed instructions. Instead of read the text and answer the questions, you could microstructure the task into look at the images. What do you think the text could be about? Read the headline. How has your prediction about the text changed? Read the first paragraph. What surprises you? To help you find the appropriate level of challenge, get students' feedback via traffic light system, for example, like use red, amber, or green, or exit tickets, no? So you can have a lot of strategies. Then number 2 tip is, who is in charge? Don't be scared of increasing how much say you give your students over when, where, and to some extent, even what they're learning so that they can experience control. In asynchronous learning, students already exercise autonomy by studying in their own time and place without the presence of a teacher. Sometimes they don't like that. So take student choices a step further by offering at least 2 options for homework tasks. Example, in a writing task, a formal letter, or maybe just an informal text message. Or you could keep the task the same. Example, write a blog post to persuade readers to donate to charity. But let students choose a content or a charity of their choice. In selecting materials and tasks, be guided by your learners' interest and natural curiosity. And we will tackle more of this in my plenary session after this. You could give them a list of topics to rank for interest and allow them to add their own topics as well. And number 3, only connect. Nobody likes struggling on their own. That goes for your learners as well as for yourself. Encourage students to set up instant messaging or email groups with their friends as well as with yourself for some study and moral support, as well as for so much needed love. So they can have their own group chats. Don't be bothered about that, no? Small group chats, class group chat, and a group chat with you, because they would not be able to express themselves if you're always present in their group chats. For yourself, keep in touch with friends and colleagues to share the highlights and sometimes lowlights of the new teaching conditions. Pick activities and content that you and your students like. This may include playing games, but not necessarily so in our survey, the motivating effects of games and competitions declined with age already. So, you know yourself best, you know your students best, so do your best together, and most of all, enjoy what you're doing. So during this International Integrated Research Conference, we hope that this will serve as an avenue to share results of our researches relative to science, technology, engineering, agriculture, and mathematics, environment and climate change, criminal justice, mental health and psychology, pedagogies and practices, integrated research and leadership, management and community development. So furthermore, as explained earlier by our PCPD chair, this also aims to discover ways to employ autonomy of learning among our members and learners, especially during this pandemic time. Indeed, this is a perfect portal to prove that amidst pandemic, we can survive and keep the fight for quality of education. Enjoy the entire program of the IIRC 2020. Lastly, please look into the following. Number one is takeaway. What do you want to remember after this event? Number two is inspire. What excites you about what is to come? And number three, action. What action can you take after this conference? From the researches that you have conducted, it's very nice if you can reflect if you need to expand your study, if you need to publish your study, if you need to present your study in international arena, or if you want to come up with artifacts or proposals so that you can implement the results of your study. According to Kurt Lewin, no research without action, and there is no action without research. Welcome everyone, and enjoy the next 6 days of our International Integrated Research Conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Ray. So before I proceed to Sir Ray's plenary session, allow me to remind everyone that this program is actually also applied 15 CPD units for licensed professional teachers and for registered criminologists. So at the end of, let's say on the 5th day, we will be having, for those who are non-presenters, no, because for presenters, your presentation actually serves as your assessment. So for non-presenters, you will be asked to do a short reflection on the entire conference. Okay, so that would serve as your assessment. Kasi yung presenters natin, their scores for presentation would serve as their assessment already. Okay, so we now proceed to the first plenary session for this conference. It is about autonomy of learning during pandemic times. Let us welcome back Dr. Reynaldo Garnasek from the Leyte Normal University and our conference chair for the International Integrated Research Conference.
Hi, welcome back. It's been a long time. I was actually asking Simon, I just realized that in the program, I am giving two speeches, no? So one is the opening remarks and the plenary speech. And I was asking him, hindi kaya sila maboard na ako ang sunod-sunod na makikita nila. Anyway, so it's a privilege being the conference chair to do it. And I hope you're going to enjoy our sessions. And I hope also that you've learned something from the opening remarks anchored on the theme that we have for our International Integrated Research Conference. Now, before I proceed, please, can I see shout out messages in the chat box? Anyone? I would like to read some of your chat messages for maybe for the co-participants, for the plenary speakers, anything that you picked from the messages we have had earlier. Let me see if you have messages in the chat box. Come on. Parang wala ah. Ayun. First time here, Proud Waray, Jordan Galliano. So we have Oscar, very nice, very inspiring. We have from Albino, shout out from Surigao del Norte. Si Cherry Lu Calison, first time to participate. Okay, keep your messages coming. I would be reading some of your messages later on. So if you have questions also, you might forget if you will ask your questions later on. So you can actually chat your messages and the committee will be checking and reading your questions and sharing later on. All right. So I see a lot of messages coming. First time po from Bingoog City. So happy. First from Makati, excited to join the conference. From Baler, and so on and so forth. All right. So the main focus, the main topic of my discussion would be autonomy of learning during pandemic time. So why do I want to dwell so much on autonomy of learning? So maybe before I start with my session, I would like to give you a little background. I came from a private school. I worked for 4 years before I moved to Philippine Science High School. All right. So in the private school, there's no difficulty handling the students because they appreciate you for everything that you do. So whatever pedagogies that you apply, and if you are coming from private schools, you can relate to me because you feel so close to your students that it's like you are a hero, you're a star to them. Every time you present something, they're so excited. All right. But when I moved to a government school where my students were all scholars, they were not awed and mesmerized with the pedagogies that I was using. So I thought I was a very effective teacher when I came from private school, but when I moved to the public school, I thought I was worthless. I was nothing. So, and the director of the school told me, Ray, would you like to stay in Philippine Science High School? I said, yes, ma'am. But your rating is 1.72 and the cutoff is 1.75. If you're not going to improve, we are not going to rehire you. And so I search far and wide. How am I going to invite my students in my classes? No? How am I going to encourage them to be interested? So I looked into autonomy of learning and I started to search for conferences about autonomy of learning. And because my roots are from Japanese, because my grandfather was a Japanese soldier, so I said, the first country that I'd like to visit is Japan. So I searched for a training and I found a training in the website. It was an autonomy of learning in Japan. So I went to Japan in 2007 and learned about autonomy of learning. Lo and behold, from that moment, I started to use autonomy of learning. Instead of employing my own strategies, I asked my students to use their own strategies. No? So I asked them to prepare lesson plans, and they were the ones handling the classes. So they were using their own strategies from motivation to the procedures, no? So discussion and then comprehension, and then they were looking for strategies to use also in the processing of the lesson through games, conferences, and many other strategies. And they were giving prizes in the class also, and up to the assessment. And you know what? The surprising effect, my rating was 1.13. And immediately, I was hired as a permanent teacher in Philippine Science High School. And from that day forward, I was always employing autonomy of learning. So I've been in the teaching profession for the last 27 years. And the best method that I always consider is autonomy of learning because everything comes from the students. All right, so I am no longer the star in the class, but the students are the stars in the class. Okay, once again, a pleasant morning to all of you. So if you'd like to give your experience, any message in the chat box, you can write it there relative to autonomy of learning that you've been employing also in your respective classes. So if you're listening to me, so please do it. Write in the chat box your own experience and I will read it later on. All right, once again, a pleasant morning. First, I would like to extend my gratitude to the PCPD for the invite to spearhead the IIRC 2020. This has been my second year as a conference chair. As this is my baby proposal, this is my project. So, but I am asking also PCPD that someone from the resident panelists can take over next time as the conference chair. I am challenging them. Specifically, I have been tasked to talk on autonomy of learning during pandemic. So perhaps I can also include other significant facts about the topic and a few opportunities during this crisis. So, what is the buzzword at this pandemic time? So what is the buzzword? All right, next slide, please. All right, so these are the buzzwords, no? So during this pandemic time, there should be social distancing, there should be adjustments in terms of education that we're going to deliver, the portals that we're going to use, and so on and so forth. And then, what else? Then, how are we feeling? How are we feeling right now as teachers, no? During this pandemic time? Do you feel the same way? The biggest word there is anxiety. Then the smaller word, stress, worried, uncertainty, fear. There is sadness, there is frustration, you're overwhelmed. But there's a big word also of hope. There is always hope. And you are concerned about the situation, but at the same time, you are confused. And sometimes you're helpless, you're isolated, but you're bored, but you're curious, and you love your students, and you're happy that you are serving your students. All right? So, and you want to find the peace, the joy amidst the anxiety, the anger, the scare that is brought about by pandemic. But hey, we are great teachers, right? So hence, we are stronger and braver than this pandemic. All right? So we have established relationships. We are compassionate. We are passionate. We have to observe flexibility. We have to consider our learners. So these are the things that we have to remember as mentors, as teachers, to be positive, to have commitment, to be creative, to be inspiring, to have sense of humor, to be friendly, to be brave, to be caring, to be patient, to be innovative, and to have a collaborative mindset, no? And to be nurturing, because we are teachers. We are heroes. Okay, so from the topic, I would like to present an outline of the presentation. So we have there the definition of keywords, then the continuity of autonomous learning, the crisis, and then I'd like to share a few research about education during pandemic, then the role of teachers, then from experience, from the perspective of parents, administrators, teachers, and students. And then I'd like to wrap up the roles of teachers. Then I'd like to share a portion about the opportunities in crisis, personal experience on Yolanda and COVID-19. So on the definition of keywords, last January 30, 2020, ABS-CBN reported the country's first case of COVID 2019. So days after that, the number of cases soared high until the World Health Organization declared the worldwide pandemic. And we had enhanced community quarantine, then it's all over the country, so that we could contain the spread of the virus. The lockdown closed not only the economic activities, but also ceased educational or learning activities of all Filipinos. But we're so happy that Secretary Briones declared that no amount of pandemic shall hamper the delivery of the basic education in our country. Hence, the DepEd Order number 12, dated June 19, 2020, entitled Adoption of Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan for School Year 2021 in light of COVID-19 public health emergency. So now we are on our classes already. So nationwide, all schools from the Department of Education Private schools opened way back months ago, and then all the state universities and colleges, I guess almost all, have already opened classes. So now, what is the Learning Continuity Plan? The Learning Continuity Plan is the government's response to the challenges posed by COVID-19 in the field of basic education. This seeks to ensure that students' learning progress even amidst crisis. No? In the context of my presentation, crisis refers to the natural disasters such as fire, storm, earthquakes, and pandemics. So in the universities, in the SUCs, for example, notice that we are doing a lot of activities. So we have established academic kiosk or university kiosk in every municipality. So during my participation in the CIMEO, because I was asked to attend the meeting, I recommended that every municipality should have a university kiosk or academic kiosk. So in Region 8, for example, so there is a consortium of SUCs. So every municipality has an established academic kiosk where all the students coming from different SUCs who don't have gadgets and internet connectivity would go there and download the modules and upload the exercises or the modules to be submitted to their professors. So, and it's already functional at this time. So I would like to share with you a few researches, no? So from what parents and teachers say, 71% of the teachers are working harder. Teachers are having a hard time doing their job, 83% of them. I am worried about the children right now, 60% of the parents, and 86% of the teachers are really worried. Distance learning is causing the children to fall behind. That is 46% from parents and 76% from teachers. The children will eventually be able to make up and any lost ground, no, according to the parents, 73%, but lesser for the teachers, only 64% of them. All right. We are on the slide on research, please. Slide. Okay. That is on slide 7 to 9, please. Okay. What assistance would be most helpful for online instruction at this time? So according to on the side of the faculty, information on how best to support remote students, 50% of them. So there should be a wide dissemination, and the institutions is 64%. There should be greater access to online digital materials, 52% from the faculty and 61% from the institutions. Advice on how to adhere acceptability requirements when moving online, 44% from the faculty, and the institution is 55%. Webinar for students on how to succeed in online classes is also very important. An online resource hub with links and information about how to quickly transition to online learning. So are we doing this? And then assistance with technology to support online education. So in our university, we conducted a survey among our students who don't have access to the internet and who don't have also gadgets. And we are trying our best to provide them through the academic kiosk and even the possibility of providing them support for online connectivity and also the gadgets. So in fact, we have connected with the DICT and providers, other private providers of internet so that they could be helped. All right, so the role of teachers and administrators during this pandemic. In this part of the presentation, allow me to share some of my experiences being the director of Philippine Science High School during the onslaught of Yolanda or Typhoon Haiyan that affected thousands of lives in Region 8 in Leyte and Samar in November 8, 2013. And this current pandemic that we are all experiencing. So Typhoon Haiyan brought havoc to both lives and properties. So you would see the bitterness of life, the hopelessness, the darkness. Then we were even asking if we would still be able to survive from that. But the grim picture of that devastation, we see a dark tunnel with the candlelight flickering in darkness. All right. So because of the damage to houses and infrastructure, um, our school became a host of about 3,000 evacuees. Then, being the director of the school, I felt I needed to do something to sustain the needs of our evacuees. So we were helped by a lot of organizations and individuals, and we were able to establish, orderly, um, orderly support mechanism for relief operation. And we were able to resume classes a month after that. No? Then the teachers supported the operation, and the teachers used varied strategies that they could use so that classes would continue. Then after that, the school was able to refurbish the facilities and equipment, and then the students enjoyed again the experience. No, as we have somehow fully recovered from Haiyan's rat, so here came another dreaded COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted the learning momentum of the educational system, not only in our region, not only in the Philippines, but in the whole world. So teachers play varied and important roles in learning continuity plan for the Department of Education. So we cannot just sit and watch our students lose the dreams that they have set for themselves, their families, and the community where they belong. As contained in the plan, learning has to use the following modalities such as face-to-face, distance learning, or blended learning. Right? So what about you? What are you using this time in your schools? In my observations with my wife, having used blended learning in the bridge program of the school, she really did observe the use of new learning modality, which poses a lot of challenges, no? So for instance, in the bridge program, they were told to use modular instruction. So they made modules, uploaded them using an LMS, and expected the students to go through the modules and answer the online assessments. So there were times that it would take her students a week or 2 or even 3 weeks to take the assessments or accomplish requirements after they are uploaded. It meant that she had to reopen them again several times until her students would have the chance to access good internet connection and submit the requirements. She thought that the modules were enough, but she was wrong. They were getting low scores from the assessment she gave them. She asked her students what the problem was. It was then she learned that modules were not enough for them because many of them are visual learners. That realization prompted her to learn the craft of using Zoom or Google Meet for synchronous sessions. There were times when her students would request her to reopen the assignment or assessment at night or even early in the morning because it was the only time they could access good internet connection. She had a funny experience when the internet connection in school at the middle of her discussion via Zoom. She got lost from the screen. Her students asked, "Ma'am, where are you? I tried to bring you back, but I couldn't." At times when she noticed non-submission, she would connect with her students and ask them what's causing the non-submission. It was sad to note that really some of our students did not have the gadgets and connectivity to make them participate in virtual activities. Some had to exert efforts, but literally going outside of the house and figuratively climbing the highest mountain or tree or even crossing the biggest seas or rivers, no? Just to capture Wi-Fi connectivity. So if you have similar experience with my wife, so my wife, by the way, is teaching in Philippine Science High School. So if you have similar experience, you can put that in the chat box, especially if you have fun experience, please do so. You can share in the chat box, and later on, I'm going to read some of those. So from these experiences, we realize that teachers do play crucial roles in the learning continuity plan of the government. So those are the avatars of my wife I'll be sharing with you. So number one is system supporters. No? So as teachers, we need to embrace and support the learning modalities prescribed by the institution we are connected with. Wala nang maraming reklamo. So, sumunod po tayo what is really best. It will not help if we resist and think that we cannot make it. Supporting the modality that can mean that we seek ways to prepare ourselves for this new mode of learning. So, support the system. Number 2 is be a bridge, be a messenger. We serve as the connector or conjunction between the school and our parents. I firmly believe that with distance learning or modular learning, we shall need to forge a strong connection with our parents. In fact, in a school we established, the Summit Integrated Learning Academy, what we did is, before we started our online learning, we had a training and orientation among our parents, how to become teachers themselves to the students, all right? And there is always a very close connection between the teachers and the parents, so that every time the topics can be delivered by the parents themselves. Achieving the learning goals we have set for our learners will require the support of the parents. For students who do not have access to the internet, learning modules or guides are sent to the students, all right? So another one is be a lifeline. Life has not been easy for us, and neither to our students of this pandemic. Many of them are faced with threats of uncertainties. As teachers, we can serve as the lifeline of students when they feel not okay. But of course, it's just okay not to be okay. Sometimes it helps that we make our students feel that they're not alone, that we're always there to support them. Then another one is we have to be counselor. The dictionary defines a counselor as a person trained to give guidance on personal, social, and psychological problems. So there are times that our students will need guidance whenever they seem lost in their journey. We help them get back to the right path. And another one is let us be facilitators. No? Let us not forget that though we are in a different learning modality, our role still remains to empower students to make decisions for their own learning. We do not simply tell them what to do, but rather engage them in the learning process. So who are you in those tasks that you are supposed to do? Can you put in the chat box if you are a system supporter, if you're a bridge or a messenger, or if you're a lifeline or a counselor, or if you are a facilitator? Allow me to read some of your messages in the chat box. Okay, so sorry. Abgel Lalamonan is saying she can see the slide. All right. So candlelight po ang nasa slide. All right. Yes, sir. Okay. Any messages? Good morning. Honored to be here. Good day to one. Okay. So who are you in the task that you're supposed to do? Okay. Are you a facilitator? Are you a counselor? So Aldavi is saying he is a facilitator. Remedy saying sometimes a messenger. Leah Grace saying facilitator. Ricky is a facilitator. Mary Angel Gavina is a facilitator and a lifeline po. So, and I guess majority of you have all these characteristics and you're experiencing that. Okay, moving on to the, okay, all of the above, sabi ni Idel, I'm a teacher. All of the above. So Charmaine says facilitator and lifeline. Okay, piano, Ferdinand is a facilitator. All right, so how do we let the learners enjoy autonomy of learning? In order to delve more into the question of what the roles of the teachers are in the learning continuity amidst crisis, we made a survey and got the views of different stakeholders in the learning environment, like the parents, administrators, teachers, and students. Again, I'd like to ask my wife, who is a teacher, who is sharing the results of this survey. So we asked this question, what should be the roles of teachers in the continuity of learning amidst crisis? So the parents said teachers should reinvent their roles and even their once upon a time classroom rules under the new normal when classroom becomes distant. And class means a group of people bounded only by the internet access or modules. Teachers must be creative enough to provide different pathways of learning Teachers must take on the role of mentor facilitator, not the typical classroom dictator. Give psychosocial first aid to the students and disseminate right information regarding coronavirus and assist the students to cope with the new normal learning. Okay, so next slide, please. From the viewpoint of the administrators, what did the administrators say? Printing out of learners' modules and other learning materials could be of help. Facilitate in the segregation and binding of modules. Provide these learning materials to the parents on a weekly basis, only done at school with the parents coming to pick up materials. Then retrieve modules answered by the learner. Same way, parents are the ones coming to school to return answered modules. And at the same time, get another set of modules. So I'm pretty sure those who are from DepEd are doing this. And those from SUCs, maybe we could do more. So teachers check modules and assess learners' performance. Should learners need specific assistance, the teacher should craft materials for the necessary intervention to be done. So teachers provide accurate feedback to the parents regarding the results of the modules. No? So they make lesson guide. They assist parents when necessary. They serve as frontliners in the school, and they support all programs and projects which the school implements and participate in. But all must strictly observe health protocols. And with regards to the viewpoint of the teachers, be compassionate and humanize education amid the pandemic, because teaching is an act of love, care, and support. Teachers must be resilient enough in embracing the new normal in education, since teachers are known for detecting the cause of problems, and you possess the strong social connections and be identified as strong survivors and not a victim of the crisis. To adopt the new modes of teaching and learning and to ensure that students' learning continues amidst the crisis is one of the most important roles of the teachers. All right? So one educator said, the best thing that I can do during this crisis is to make myself available whenever my students need my input and help. So both distance learning and academic freeze tag along so many challenges, not only the teachers, but also upon the students and parents. All right. So, and I think extending help, even just virtually to our learners, will somehow make a difference. So teachers must do the task in the reproduction, binding, segregation, distribution, retrieval, and checking of all activity sheets and learning modules used in the modular approach. Yesterday, I met a teacher in the downtown area, and she told me that I am not able to check the modules because I am busy reproducing, binding, and segregating all these materials. Pati pag staple, ako pa. So they have no more time to check the modules being submitted. So you can do a lot of things, no, at this time. So and there are more of those. Then we have the survey from the students. Can we see the next slide? The survey from the students. Discuss learning materials given, please. Evaluate the progress of the students. So this is from the point of view of the students, dear teachers. So analyze results based on the statistical data to validate use and pedagogies. Verify from students what mode of learning. Di ko siya masyado makita. Okay. And what pedagogies that you're going to use, no? Listen to the students' thoughts or fears about COVID-19 and support them. Guide us on what to do to cope with everything that is happening now. So listen to the students speaking to you. Serve as our second parents. Make learning inclusive so that no one gets left behind. Remain as teachers and help in delivering their lectures through whatever resources they may find possible to use. Do not limit yourself with Google Meet or Zoom or K-Hub or any learning management system. But if you cannot reach them, go to their Facebook account or even call their numbers or visit them. So remain as teachers Make sure that their modules are understandable and the activities are doable for the students. Teachers should make things simpler for the students. Teachers should understand the situation of the students and not bombard with pressures, deadlines, and schedules. So as much as possible, extend your deadlines. Do not pressure them so much with so much tasks to do. Then teachers deserve rest also, like the rest of the workers in the country. Can we see the next slide, please? All right. So, yeah, you have listened so much about how do we encourage autonomy of learning, and we've heard the voice of the students based on the researches that have been conducted, no? So it's good at this point also on your part to have a simple action researches to find out if your students need support, if your students are learning from you. So kindly look into that and frame one question that what you can do so that you can help support your students. So overall, we need to look at the multiple intelligences of the learners in order to design pedagogies fit to their learning styles. So, and in the slide shown to you, we have the following intelligences. Just a recap. Okay, so there is an interpersonal intelligence. So where we allow the students to interact with others, no, through creation of group chats, whether small groups and a bigger group and the whole class. And then intrapersonal intelligence also. So you have to assess if the students has that intrapersonal, and then communicate also with the parents about the behavior of the students. And then if there is bodily kinesthetic, so this is still applicable for classes in STEM. And then musical, rhythmic. So if the students have this intelligence, then verbal linguistic. So for those who are good in writing, and then logical, mathematical, paki-off po, paki-mute po. And then we have naturalist or environmentalist, and then visual, spatial, and then existentially. So what am I saying? In the pedagogies that you're going to use, you have to consider what are the intelligences of your students. So in the materials that you're going to prepare, be sure to consider the multiple intelligences of the students. In other words, you should have an IEP, individual education plan of the students. This is not only applicable for special education, for SPED, but even for regular classes, it's good to have an individual educational plan for every student so that you will know the background of the child. All right, so the next slide says the 7 C's, no? The 7 C's. So what are these 7 C's? Before we only had 4 C's, no? Critical thinking and doing. So we have to look into the problem solving skills, the research skills, the analysis, and the project management of the students. And then look into the creativity of the students, no? So the new knowledge creation, the design solutions, the artful storytelling, etc. So we will know that as we go along in the process of online learning and with the educational plan. If you cannot make an individual educational plan, so maybe just a little background about who your students are, no? So you should have a background of all your students. Then another C is collaboration. There should be cooperation, compromise, consensus, no, and community building. So we should design strategies that collaboration is applied even on online learning. Then there should be cross-cultural understanding, so across diverse ethnic knowledge and organizational cultures. So as much as possible, we have to look into this also as part of lifelong skills of our students, no? Then there should be communication, crafting messages and using media effectively, allow the students to interact, and so on and so forth. Then computing, effective use of electronic information and knowledge tools. So as far as I'm concerned, my child is better than I do in technology. So I always seek assistance, no, from my kids about computing, about technology. So we have to accept that our students in many cases, know us better in technology. So we can seek assistance from them. Then career and learning self-reliance. So we have to manage change, then lifelong learning and career redefinition. My classic example for that is when we teach swimming, for example, we don't just let them learn about the different strokes, no, and the benefits that they gain from swimming, but we level up to the next pillar. So what are the pillars again? Learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, and learning to be. So we proceed to the level of allowing them to swim and experience how is it to be drowned. How was it to be drowned? So, and we can do that. We can ask them for video, for example, no? So to show their creativity. Okay, and in the next slide, also to promote autonomy of learning, we can have experiential learning model. So what did we have? Consider the multiple intelligences, consider the 7 C's in the implementation of the pedagogies and strategies that we're going to use, and then look into the experiential learning model that we are going to use. All right, so number 1 is look into the experience, the activity performed, do it. So it is actually based on the experience of the learners. And then after that sharing, then sharing, after that experience, then share the results, the reactions, the observations. And then after that, so describe the experience and what is the reaction, then proceed now with the next step, which is the process. That's the only time that you're going to discuss, look and experience and reflect. Discuss what was important about what was experienced and what was being shared. No, so like you just give a topic to the kids and then let them experience out of the topic, and then when you come back, then that's the time that they're going to share based on their experience. After the sharing, that's the only time that you're going to process, no, based on their experience, and then generalize to connect the experience to real world example. So how is the experience of one child relevant to the experience of the other child? And how are these experiences relevant to real world experiences? So restate the experience and practice and look into the life skills, no? How are they applicable to real life situations? And then, yes, after that processing, no, after the processing, then the generalization, now they come to realize what is applicable for the number 5, no? What was learned to a similar or different situation practice. So there is so much sharing of all the experiences in this experiential learning model. So share how these skills can be implemented in other parts of their lives, no? So they may not take everything, but more or less they can pick up something from the experiences being shared by others and being processed, generalized by the teacher himself or herself and the students themselves, no, in the class. All right, and the next is the learning community, which is very vital. Next slide, please. Learning community is very vital. Can you see that? The structure, the interplay of all that, no, in the online learning. So the content, the learning management system, then the media that you're going to use, and then there should be a collaboration. Then there can be contents generated from the students. Then it should be self-paced, independent study. So we should not consider that every student is at the same pace, because it's a self-paced learning. Then that's why we have synchronous and asynchronous, no? So in the synchronous, the teacher's job is to discuss some important points or maybe listen to the experiences and the sharing of the students. And then during the asynchronous, it's now a self-paced independent study. So where the student would now choose which ones to work on. Then there should be dialectic questioning, there should be a discussion board. So in the process of asynchronous learning, the students can freely go to the chat board or ask the teachers about some concerns maybe to be clarified about. And then evaluation and assessment. So after that, after deliberately discussing about all those, then there could be evaluation and assessment. Then we have also to consider in the learning community the social and emotional aspect, no? So face-to-face teaching, tutoring, and advisement. So it's really important that the teacher is always there. But you should also give yourself a break. Do not let your students contact you at the middle of the night or at wee hours, because it will also affect your mental health. Then it's good also if you have reflection. So encourage your students to have blogs and journals, right? So that they could keep track of their performance. How are you? Are you still there? So the number is increasing. We're now 94, and I've learned from Simon it's only 88, but we have 94 participants at this time. So the next slide would talk about employing autonomy of learning for children to cope during this pandemic time. All right. So number one is prioritize relationships. So I asked permission to capture slides from our pre-LM school, no? So to prioritize relationship, this is very important. And in fact, this pandemic in a way is helpful to our families because we are able to prioritize relationship. Most of the time we stay home, no? So in fact, my kids are mad if I go to work. They would always want me to work from home. But for administrators, we have to work physically, no? So in a skeletal workforce. All right. So number two is, next slide, please. Tamp down the pressure. So please do not pressure our children. So you don't know the reasons why they cannot connect. They're not able to answer, no? So get that pressure. So a little different from the actual classroom class, no? So like, because my wife really is on the field teaching, so she would share a lot of experiences that the student was not able to connect because there is no internet connection, and the best time of the day is only morning because the internet connection is stronger. All right, so next slide, please. Empower the children. So design strategies that we empower them. We let them decide. That's why we call it autonomy of learning. You let them decide what they want to do. So when you give a certain topic, do not decide, write an essay about this. Instead, what do you want to do out of this topic? So let them do something, because maybe some of them would like to draw, some of them would like to send a song, some of them would like to compose a speech or a little line or any piece, for example, or some of them would just like to recite about the topic that you've given. So empower them, let them choose how they want to deliver. Also, that is based on their multiple intelligences. So stay moored in the moment. So do not worry so much about the future and dwell on the past. So just consider what is there. What do you have? What resources do you have at the very moment? What problems do you have at this very moment? So try to face that. All right, next is foster social connection. So I already highlighted that. Be sure that you allow the kids to be connected to their classmates and friends, no? Okay. And as much as possible, also give requirements which can be done within their capability only. Do not overdo giving a lot of requirements. Consider that they have a lot of subjects, no, to attend to. Like in our university for the integrated laboratory school, kids are only given 2 subjects in a day. All right. And they're only 4 days a week. So Monday to Thursday. And a Friday, it's a free day for them. Okay. In PSI, they have synchronous and asynchronous sessions. In a day, more or less, only 2 to 3 synchronous sessions. And the rest would be asynchronous sessions. So I think you have to consider these now, so that we can also promote self-care, to love themselves, to give them time also for themselves. All right, so next slide, please. Then focus on joy and simplicity. Let us teach them not to be burdened, not to be overwhelmed. Let us teach them simple things, just to be happy, because at the end of the day, it's not about what grades you have gained, no, but how you're going to live your life happily, joyfully. Okay. just a simple life. So yeah, who knows, this pandemic time will allow you to produce a scientist like that, a picture in the journey. So maybe you remember my sharing last time when I played the video of Hilary Andales, the 2017 Breakthrough Junior Challenge, who is now a scholar in MIT. She won $400,000 worth of scholarship, no? And I am looking at this boy to be a future scientist, no? Like Andales or like our scientists. So are you imagining also of your students becoming the stars that they want to be because of the autonomy of learning that you are providing them? All right, so after all being said and done, the most important thing to do for us educators is to take care of our mental health. We need to keep a balance of everything. Amidst this pandemic, what is more important? Yes, is to take care. And these are the things that I would like to share with you. Number one is reframe your thoughts. Reframe your thoughts. Can we go back to the slide, please? There, yes. Number one is, next slide, please. Reframe your thoughts. Instead of thinking negatively, try to reframe it as a good time to do what you've always wanted to, such as baking, painting, making music, etc. Of course, it's always easier said than done, but you know, we have to try something. In fact, in our school, the pre-LM school I was saying, so we always teach our kids, you know, the basic lessons of life, like how to make milk, how to bake cake, pastries, how to prepare breakfast. So simple things as those, because at the end of the day, these are the most important things that they need to know. Focus on the needs of others. Think about what you can do to help others, from sending care packages to frontliners, to helping the weak, or cooking for your loved ones. So when pandemic hit, I organize a lot of activities of outreach programs. So if we are friends in Facebook, you will see a lot of those activities that I did, no? Outreach program. So, and my motto in life is just give till it hurts. Even if you don't have any more, still you continue giving, because you know that people will just come and help out if what you do is for the betterment of the world. Then you can create a new schedule. Structure helps provides a sense of stability. So remember to always include an activity you look forward in your daily schedule. So do not dwell so much on your regular work schedule, you know, as a teacher. Insert something that you can do, or at the end of the day, what is it that you want to do after doing your routinary task every day? Okay, know when to switch off. It is important to be updated, but from time to time, remember to give your mind a rest from all COVID-19 news. So stop watching so much, no? Because you just get troubled. Reach out to loved ones. Although we need to be physically apart, we can still stay connected to the people we love with tools such as, you know, phone calls, text messages, and video calls. So it's a good time to create group chats with your families and friends and get connected once in a while. So I'm sure it's a good diversion after a day-long activity, an overwhelming activity during the day. Then chatting, video calls with your friends and family would be a good time to look forward to. Then if there's really a little problem, seek professional help. It is difficult for you to cope. It is okay to look for professional advice. There is no stigma in doing so, like what other people think. No, there's no problem of seeking for help. Okay, by coping during this pandemic time, we need to do this, no? So coping during pandemic time. So which of this are you doing? So you can also write in the chat box if you're doing any of this, no? What happened to the slide? You can write in the chat box Are you doing indoor play? Are you doing relaxation exercises? Are you doing yoga and meditation? Aerobic exercises? Or are you doing prayer? Or do you do creative activities? Do you have that positive thinking? Or do you have that installation of hope? Are you still reading? Are you singing like what I do? So I have an account. I always sing. I have almost 50 songs already in We Sing. You can find for my name. And then, yes, online learning courses. Are you doing that? I see a lot of people posting their certificates in their Facebook account. So what are you doing? Can you please write that in your chat box? Which of those are you doing? All right, I would like to read, enjoy listening, and learning a lot from your talk po. Dr. Ray Garnase, thank you. Mary Angel, okay, wow, what a prophetic and encouraging photo po, Dr. A very informative learning from you, Dr. Ray, thank you. Yes, RJ is saying he is reading. Russell is saying, I do reading and I always pray. Very good. Mary Angel says, prayer, maintaining hope, reading, creative exercises, online learning courses. Piano, yes, you're listening to music because you play piano so well. Do you really play piano, Ferdinand? Then RJ is saying, I also pray. Piano says, yes, I must say quality learning from this session. All right, so Leia says Netflix. Yeah, I keep a lot of, I watch a lot from Netflix. Natapos ko na po lahat yung mga sessions. Ano yun? Money Heist, Prison Break, si from Paris, Emily in Paris, and a lot more. So we are watching a lot. So, all right. Yeah, natawa si Piano. Nagpe-piano ka ba? Mamaya magpe-piano ka ha? Or you are going to sing. Please inform your colleagues that we are still accepting. Okay. IIRC pala to. I learned to watch K-drama with our children. With matching ha-ha-ha. All right. Learning music po. Prayer, singing, drawing, online courses, webinars, watching movies. Still working as police station as desk officer. Wow, Mark Anthony, very good. Maupay nga aga, Doc Ray. Oy, maupay nga aga. Dr. Grace, very informative and so amazing presentations. Oh, Elisa is online selling. Yeah, I do a lot of online selling and buying. So I always help my daughter advertise my days. So naka-my day ako dyan. Part-time of my job is selling also moron, binago, pastries, and also my daughters are reselling items, so I help them also deliver. All right, so I see that you are doing a lot of things as well. Playing video games, I find it cathartic. Yeah, my son is usually playing video games. All right, so I'll be reading your chats later on. Now we proceed with the next slide. I'm almost done, and I guess we are just on time because we should be finished before 12 o'clock. All right, so there are also opportunities during this crisis. What did Yolanda do to us? If you are going to see Philippine Science High School Eastern Visayas campus, the facilities improved, infrastructures improved a lot. And then one also of the lessons learned is the teachers and administrators became more compassionate. So during this COVID time, we give more family time. So we are more conscious of our well-being. We give ample time for self-care, rest, and spiritual communion. And we give time to learn from webinars. And then the nature also takes respite from the daily pollution. And we know that as Filipinos, we are very resilient and we have the ability to overcome all this, right? In a nutshell, when you forget everything, remember 3 R's. So what are these 3 R's? Number 1 is relationships. So in relationships, we have to do the following, maybe group activities, games, cooking, etc. Connect with teachers and peers, and then give to others in need. And the second R is routines, no? So if possible, as a family, or as faculty, if you are reporting to work, eat meals together, exercise at least 20 minutes, hold family COVID meetings, sleep at least 8 hours, and then practice mindfulness. And then the third R is resilience. Co-regulate your emotions and responses to stress. Limit so much exposure to media. And that's why it's very good. In our IIRC, we only have half day today. And tomorrow we have a whole day, but it's not really a straight 8 hours because we talked about that it's not really very efficient if we have a whole day session. So maybe 2 to 3 hours would be enough. And then, yeah, solve problems together and create things to look forward to. So with that, with the 3 R's, we also give these 3 R's to our students to observe autonomy of learning. Thank you so much for your participation. And I'm now ready to answer some of your questions. So you can put in your chat box and you can unmute yourselves and ask your questions to me. That was a lot. Thank you. Oh, Abgail, doing farming. I love that. Someday I'll be farming as well. Yes, do you have any questions?
Okay, so do we have questions in the chat box? But before we proceed to the questions, I'd like to acknowledge 2 of our panelists. They're actually one for STEAM and the other one is for integrated research. We have with us during this session, Dr. Annabel Gordonas and Dr. Nino Naldoza. So hello po sa inyong dalawa, mga doctors.
Hello, sir and ma'am. Thank you for being here. I miss you. Okay, thank you for thank you. Thank you for inspiring me to pursue my action research. Yes, thank you so much from Jordan Galliano, from Remery Giral. Thank you so much, po, for that informative learning. I've learned a lot from the presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I'd be glad if you have questions or you have sharing from what I have shared with you. Yes. No more questions. Very informative. Learning so much. Thank you so much for your generous comments.
I think we had a question earlier during the discussion.
Oh, yes, please.
From Evan Carlo de Blois. I think it's the one from Bicol. He wrote in the chat box, he said, in this time of pandemic, can we still apply this multiple intelligences, differentiated instruction?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So as I mentioned earlier, it's always good to know the background of our students. No? So we should have an idea who our students are, what are their learning styles, what are their intelligences. All right, so how can we apply the multiple intelligence, no? Even if we are on online instruction. So because during your synchronous session, your job as a teacher is to give little direction only of how you go through on a certain topic. So as I said, the topic may be given ahead of time, and then when you welcome the students, then it's a sharing now of experiences, no? It's a sharing of experiences. So by that alone, you will know the intelligence of the students, because the student might share, I have here a quotation about the topic, then explain. Maybe they might be shy, they might not want to sing or show a video about dance, no, but you will know really what are the skills of the students based on the sharing. And then when you give them tasks, no, something to do after that to enhance their learning, then you will not limit on what you want but what they want. So during the submission, maybe some of them will submit to you a video clip about a picture, about an art, or maybe about a song number, or maybe some of them might submit to you a write-up, a short essay, no? So this is where you will know that they have these multiple intelligences. So we can always be creative of how we want to generate all this, how the kids process the learning from the lesson that you have given them. So I think that is clear, no?
Okay, so we also have a question. This is actually related to the presentation from RG Belmonte. He says, can we have a soft copy of the presentation? Yes, later. So what we do is every day, we actually, at the end of the day, we collate the files, the recorded video. So know that this is also recorded, the proceedings of the conference, so that you can go back to the proceedings, and then we email it to you every day. So from day 1 to day 6, so that you can, check the proceedings.
Okay, Simon, I think I have a question here from Mary Angel Gavina.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I lost it.
Oh, how
can
you maintain your positive outlook and attitude in life, Dr. Ray?
Okay, is it addressed to me, a personal experience? How do I?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so how do I maintain a positive outlook in life? As I said, take every moment as a learning experience, no? So, and just be positive about it, that, this too will pass. There is something good that I can gain from this experience. And then try to be happy, no? Try to be happy. Amidst the problems that you go through, just try to be happy. And then try to do a lot of things, no? Try to do a lot of other things and explore, no? As I showed in my slide earlier, so those are the things that you can do. So for me personally, I have a positive outlook because I find time to the moment I wake up in the morning, so I pray, and then I bring the dogs. We have 2 dogs. I bring the dogs out of the house, and then while bringing the dog, I keep on listening to my collection of songs. And then when I go back, then I do the usual routines, no? I still wash the dishes, I clean the house, and then before I go to work. So that's it, no? Just but do not always dwell on the routines that you do every day. So before I go home, I pass by my aunt, or lunchtime, I eat with her, and we share a lot of stories also. Or sometimes I pass by with a friend and sing or drinks. So you can do a lot of things, no? And be very grateful of what you have. And of course, before we close the day at home, so we always pray as a family together. All right. So if that is the routine every day, then there's no reason that you would not be happy.
Okay, so sir, you also have a commendation here. It's from Judeline Balot. She
Okay.
said, "Thank you and congratulations po, Dr. Ray, for a very informative presentation from Schools Division of Zambales."
Oh, thank you so much.
And you also have one, I think he knows you personally, is Ricky G. at Balenia. He says,
Oh.
"Thank you, Sir Ray. I remember you from accreditation of LNU 4 years ago. You were still with PSI 8 back then."
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, Sir Ricky. I don't even remember I was there, so I don't know what was my role. I think I was a representative of the alumni. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
And lastly, I think this is from Sir Jeff Tadeo. He teaches in the PMA. He says,
Yeah.
"May I ask, perhaps within your professional opinion, sir, with the DepEd incurring unfavorable criticism, even from educators amongst us, how would you assess the present modular approach pushed by the government? This is in connection with the numerous issues presented in both ends by the teachers and learners of the setup." Thank you, Dr. Ray.
All right. So there is no way really but to push also on modular approach, because as I said, the very basic problem now is the internet connectivity and the gadgets of our students. So For those who have gadgets and those who have internet connectivity, there's no problem because they can go synchronous and asynchronous learning. They can go online. So, but not even many of them can enter Zoom or Google Meet or K-Hub or any learning management system because their locality may not have that strong internet connection. Therefore, it's a big challenge. So that means you resort to Facebook group or texting, which again, not everyone also has the signal. So what about those living in the far-flung remote areas? So what is our way of reaching them out? The answer is modules, modular approach of teaching. And this is why some teachers go to the remote far-flung areas and deliver the modules. But the easier way is make a hub, make a kiosk in the locality. So there should be a kiosk in every barangay so that all the students within the locality can just go to the barangay and pick up the modules, bring them home, answer them, and after answering, bring them back to the schools to be collected by the teachers. And I guess this is very efficient, no? Also of connecting with the students, no? So if really the kids cannot even go to the kiosk, then that is the time that the teacher will do an extra mile to really deliver the module to the homes of the learners. And if there is a way to organize a small group session, because as a teacher, you should check now the performance of the students based on the modules. And you see that there is really 1, 2, 3 students who are left behind. I don't think it will harm you to call them for a remediation, to deliver the lesson really face-to-face if that is needed. Of course, observing health protocols. So I guess if all these are being followed, then the modular approach would really be an effective alternative, no, for our learners. And there is no child left behind. So I think that answers the question.
Okay, so I think that this would be the last one because it's almost 12 o'clock. So we
All
have
right.
the last question from Aldhem Aldave. He says, Sir Ray, can you give us some advices on how to ensure learning of students, particularly those modular learners without internet connection? So there's no feedbacking between the teachers and students. Thank you.
So I think I just said it, no? So we will have a kiosk. I'm pretty sure you're doing that. So there are kiosks in the elementary schools or high schools within the locality, and the students will come and pick up those modules, and then you're given 1 week maybe to comply, finish everything, and then deliver. Now your job now as a teacher is to look into all these modules, the responses, assess and evaluate how your students are performing, no? How your students are performing. And then when you have assessed that they are not doing well and there is a need really for a face-to-face instruction, so I think it will not prohibit you for as long as there is only limited of number or just one-on-one, no? One-on-one or a few students, you will deliver the topic so that they will understand more. Yes? So I think that would solve the problem.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Ray. So, palakpakan naman natin si Sir Ray, pero wala tayong palakpak dito. Virtual palakpak. Ayan. Okay. So, that session ends our session for today, day 1 of the conference.
Photo
So,
op daw. May photo op request daw, Simon.
yes, sir. Yes. We'll do that
Okay.
after this. No, i-recap ko
Okay.
lang. For tomorrow, we have, or we'll begin at 10 a.m. We'll be having our plenary session in the morning. That's STEM and environment and climate change. And then research presentation will follow at 1 p.m. So our panelists for tomorrow would be Dr. Naldoza and Dr. Poso. And we'll also have Dr. Sagil for our plenary and Dr. Roland. Okay, so do not forget, the link opens 30 minutes before the time allotted. So, minsan kasi masyadong maaga, like 8 a.m. meron na naka-join. Tapos you could, I'm not saying that you don't join early, but basta sayang lang yung data nyo. Okay? So, let's have our photo opportunity. We are 90 right now. So, this could be in batches. So, please turn on your cameras for our photo opportunity. Okay. We can only accommodate 16. So, pa-isa-isa lang ako sa pag-print screen. Okay. Say cheese!
Cheese.
Okay, next batch. Salamat sila yung next batch natin. Hindi ko na sila makita.
Minimize distractions. Look for a place where you can minimize distractions or noise like closed area, empty room, or quiet places. Listening the source of the listening.
Okay. Hey, cheese! Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Do you have questions, by the way? May mga katanungan po ba para bukas or para sa mga darating pang araw that you need to ask right now? Meron po ba? Do we have questions? You can just, if you're camera shy, spotlight shy, you can just type it in the chat box. If you want to be heard, you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself. Wala po? None? Okay, silent. So wala po siguro. So see you tomorrow. Once again, thank you Doc Ray and thank you everyone. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Simon. I miss you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you,
Thank you
George.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Sir Sai. Salamat po. Salamat, Sir Simon.
The message should be directly straight to the point and should be expressed in the
Excuse me.